Hi everyone, this is Snow, and in today's video I will be drawing Robin from One Piece with her new look in the latest Elbaf arc. I have been watching One Piece for over 15 years, I think, since I was a teenager, and I felt really nostalgic and very happy when she decided to get that haircut, the one that reminds her of when she was little and when she met her lifelong friend. And the first thing that came to my mind was that I should draw her. I was kind of inspired, and I thought watercolor would really suit her vibe at that moment, I guess. So for the paper, as I showed you first, I am using a new kind of paper. It's Baohong, the academic line, not the artist one. I wanted to try new paper that's 100% cotton. I had never gone there before. I always bought cheap paper, and with the paper available in my country, I couldn't really find cotton ones. I only found the Arches one in one store, but it was very overpriced even compared to the real price it has overseas. So I got this one online. It's a Chinese brand, and I started with their student line for now. And I was just excited to try it on my favorite character of the show, which is Nico Robin-san. For the watercolor brand, I have the Mission Gold Watercolors, the professional line. It's a Korean brand, and as I said, I was using some cheap paper at first when I was still learning, and after that I upgraded to Console Monteval. It's the one I used in my handmade sketchbook and the one I have been using since. But it feels like it takes the life out of my colors. The colors don't stay as vibrant as they should be, and I have to put too many layers. And even if I put many layers, I don't know why, it still feels like some colors get very dull. Not all of them, but just some colors. So I am happy I'm trying this new paper, and it's always exciting to try new art supplies. Now for the painting, I wanted to give her that free, fluffy, in the wind kind of style, and watercolors convey that feeling really well. So as usual, I layer my watercolors a lot. I go very minimal at first and then go on top with each layer. I never go very hard with the colors. I dilute them very much. I mix and water the color a lot so that I get more control. If I layer too much pigment, I can't really go back with watercolors, but if I go little by little, I feel like I have some control, which makes the process a bit more time consuming than the other mediums that I used. Just to note, it took me like an hour and a half, I guess, or 2 hours of coloring and painting to get to the final result. But as I said, the session was really nice, and watercolors just take the stress out of me. I like when I glide the brush. I like it when I can see the colors blend into each other, especially when I use wet on wet techniques, like for the skin at first. So talking about the skin, I with the places on her face where I wanted the pigment to flow just freely, and again I am in between controlling and not controlling the process, and this is what I like, just letting the colors flow into each other, but you don't let everything flow. So I blocked my shadows first and then I layer on top of them. For the first shadow, I used the skin tone that I usually use, but after that I use a blue pigment because she's at the sea and it has to have some kind of reflection. Again, I am not reproducing a screenshot, but I am trying to convey the image that I saw when I was watching the anime myself and the feeling that I felt when I saw her. Like, I am trying to just paint what I was inspired by. I love when I cast the shadow of the nose. I don't know, I find it very satisfying, and I'm always tempted to end the process at these first strokes, but again it looks a bit light to me and I have to build more and more. My favorite part is when I am putting on the blush. Sometimes I really just like these first moments when the color is very light, very pastel and just very soft. So I use the same process that I use when I am painting in general, even in digital. I just block my colors in a not very finished way, and then they serve me as guides that I will follow. And this is when I decide if I'll develop the color more or not. For the background, I keep it simple. It's not the focus and it's a very soft background. It's a blue background, it's just the sky. And I am tapping on it with some paper to get the impression that there are clouds out there. But it's very abstract in a way. I don't want to define it. I want her face to be the focus. So Robin has light blue icy eyes, but they have a black ring, if I remember. To be honest, for this piece I didn't even use a reference to draw it or even to paint it because, as I said, she is my favorite character in the show and I have been watching and reading One Piece for a very long time. So basically I can draw the characters from my imagination by now. And there will be definitely some mistakes, but in general I guess I know most of the characters and their character design by heart at this point. When I use watercolors, I always leave the dark colors for last because they can mess up your painting. Once you put a dark color, you can't really dilute it and you can't really pick it up, so you have to be really careful. Again, what I like about this medium is using the white of the paper as highlights, and this is why I really go back to it each time, because it's very satisfying how you can trick your own eyes and see something that is not there as if it is there. I don't know if I conveyed it in a good way. When I built it like that, like leaving the areas white, it's better than blocking everything and then adding highlights. It gives that natural, almost light-like highlight. It's very satisfying to get that kind of highlight without effort. So this is one of my many satisfying moments when I'm using watercolors, and it's one of the main reasons I always enjoy using them. I kept layering her black hair. I think I used 3 or 4 layers. I started with a very diluted pigment. I used a lot of water at first to get a general idea of her hair and to keep the vibe very flowy and fluffy. And then I did the other layers with more and more pigment, more concentrated paint to define the hair strands and everything. Now, the downsides of watercolor is just the amount of time I need to make, because I use many layers. You could just use 1 layer or 2, but I just sit there and tell myself, this needs more defining, that needs more defining, and let's add more layers here and there. It would look better with more contrast. Because if you keep everything light, sometimes you lose that contrast and you need to play with the lights and the shadows so that you get a clear picture and not a very faded painting at the end. Now, just a little note about the paper. I don't post that much of my watercolor work because I don't do that many watercolors, but I think if you saw some of my previous works, especially in the sketchbook that I use mostly, you'll see that some of my paintings are faded. And you will definitely see the difference between that paper and this one. Now, this paper is still not the professional grade, it's just the student or academic grade, but it is definitely way better than any paper I have used. But then again, I have never used really good paper except the Canson Monteval that I have mentioned before. My colors here are popping way better and they are more vibrant. The only mistake that I did is that when I put some strong pigment or not a very diluted color, the paper kind of absorbs it and it stains. You can see that one stain on her neck, and it's mostly my fault because I wanted to mix the paint on the paper, which was not a good idea, I guess. I really like the outcome of this little study, and this is definitely going to go on my wall because I really like Robin as a character. I hope that you enjoyed the process, and if you want more processes like this, just tell me in the comments, and also tell me what you think about the painting that I made. Thank you for staying till the end, and thank you for watching. See ya!